So if you're into psychology at all and you run a B2B service, I think this video is going to be super valuable for you because I really want to talk about buyer psychology in the B2B sales process. Whether you're running a software company, consulting, or agency service, there is a set of limiting beliefs and questions and objections that people have to have answered in their heads before they can move forward with your thing, whether they're doing it themselves or you're helping them with it or you're doing it for them. There are universal principles that, after taking thousands of sales calls myself in the B2B space and now generating millions of dollars in revenue for my clients at Preclose, I've essentially learned just so many insights that I'm going to share here today and give you things that you can walk away with, just because it feels like bottling it up, doing a disservice to the industry, because people just say, here's what we do, here's how it works, here's who we've helped, way too early in the buyer's journey before they've educated and built trust and authority through other methods, which I'll cover. So, people just hear, I need to think about it, or they just ghost. And then you ask, why is this happening? And you make assumptions, and then you keep doing the wrong things, and things don't continue to scale, or they scale micro, right? You don't do those exponential jumps, which you deserve. The first thing that someone really needs to hear when they take action through a funnel, and I mean opting in, clicking on an ad, making the micro commitment, which tells them in their heads that they're actually interested in the service. Now, this is assuming that you've already gotten that part dialed. If you don't have lead flow coming inbound, then this video is probably not going to be as valuable for you, but if you want to learn a little bit, stick around. Now, if you do have a ton of lead flow and you feel like your actual product or service is dialed to the point where you could just help so many people out because of your amazing case studies, you're probably dealing with a couple issues. You're talking to people that don't have urgency, they're not qualified, they don't show up, or they show up with a lack of education. Those are usually the four main things that happen. And you could take that from a grain of salt from a SaaS perspective, which is that people just don't move forward, right? Because you're not like always talking to these people. But if you have a high ticket funnel, then of course, you're hearing it live, right? You're hearing those, I need to think about it. So you're hearing those questions and objections that keep coming up again and again. And you just ask yourself, why is this happening? But you don't actually take action. You just continue doing the same of, what you're doing now, which has helped get to the point where you are now, but it's not that exponential lift in what your funnel can actually become. So when it comes down to, increasing conversions, what you probably want to listen to is not the questions and objections that you think people are having, but actually where they are in the buyer's journey. So think about this. When someone enters a funnel, they can either be at one side of the spectrum, which is literally that they are window shopping. They thought that what you said was cool. They heard something that was, pretty enticing. They saw your case study. They saw your proof. You might have struck their interest with some sort of a problem that you talk about or a goal that you can help them achieve. But what happens is that interest that they just had when they clicked or they took action, it dies. Like, you have like a mountain of, oh yay, this is awesome. And then it loses because you had such a small action, right? Like an opt-in or an ad is like a 60-second thing. You don't necessarily have that long-term relationship, which, if you look at any of the funnels that are talking about online, you need a specific amount of touch points for people to build trust about you, your company, and they want to just overall, there's things that come before that, which is like understanding their problem, understanding why their problem happens, understanding why their specific ways that they thought that they needed to solve that problem are not correct, why they need to understand your solution as an idea makes the most sense at this time compared to all the other solutions out there, and feeling clear that this is the right solution for them now, and then understanding your specific product or service and your unique mechanism to solving that solution, then needing to trust that you can actually deliver on those promises, and then needing to trust that you are actually who you say you are, and then needing to like you and just overall want to take action now. Like, these are a lot of micro sales that people need to take throughout the funnel. And, if you're not thinking about these things, you're probably missing out on revenue. Now there's little trips that you can do. Tricks that you can do throughout your funnel that will naturally pick up on these conversions. Like one example being, before someone books a call, collect their phone number so that if they churn, that you can still, text them and recover that booked call, which is like a sunk cost. But I mean more like the deep underlying motivators of the fact that you aren't educating in your funnel. So what I think I've learned after analyzing 15,000 B2B sales calls and funnels through, a lot of AI things, but also personally, was really that education is one of the key drivers to conversions. And, if you think to call it a news article that you've ever read, or a YouTube video that you've watched, or a statistic that you've resonated with because you thought it was something that was insightful and could help you out, you probably looked at that data and learned something and then associated the person who gave you that data with the solution. And you just built trust because they understand you very well, or they understand what you want very well. That's what education truly is at a core. It is moving someone further along in the understanding of a specific thing, whether that's their problem, the solution, or your product or service, or you. It's really like providing that insight so that they have that question or objection or misconception answered in their heads. Now, there's two types of education. There's one which is I tell you and you listen and you say, yeah, that sounds great. If you do too much of that, people are just going to have a mental wall in their head because, you keep on telling them this stuff. It still works. Like, don't get me wrong, it gets them far. But the other type of education is internal. So someone has to think it themselves and tell them that answer, which is why questions are just so intriguing. Because when someone asks a question, they step away, they ask the question, it's up in the air. You listen to that thing, you perceive the answer, you think about it, and then you come up with the answer in your own head. That's the other side of learning. So I'm going to ask you a question now. What do you think your customers and your users need to hear in order to build more trust and authority in your brand and your specific solution? Think about it. What do you think? Now you're coming up with ideas, and now you're associating those ideas with me. And I just asked the question, so that's what we have to do in these funnels, which is it's a fine balance of questions and telling. If you have a low ticket product, digital product, software company, it's hard to ask questions because it's just through the funnel. So it's going to be mainly telling. But, if you have a high ticket service, you can ask a lot of questions. So that's the beauty. Both things need to happen and both things are very effective. But, you genuinely want to be able to move people further along in that journey. So if there's one thing that you take away from this video, it is to just add more education throughout your funnel and become the messenger. Become the messenger, because when you're the messenger and you provide the information that someone needs to hear to take that step further in the buyer journey, they associate that with you and you automatically build trust. And you didn't have to change a thing with your lead flow or your sales reps. So yeah, I hope that was valuable. And if you end up applying this and you find that this ended up working, feel free to reach out, and I'd love to talk and hear what worked and just learn more. Because a little bit about myself, I've focused on helping out B2B companies increase their conversions, whether that's shortening sales cycles, increasing show rates and close rates, or conversion rates just throughout the low ticket funnel with these fundamentals in buyer psychology for over 3 years now. And I just think that in general, founders got to a certain point, and they got to this point because of whatever it is that you put